Hey y'all, so this is my take on the Cajun white beans done in the Instapot. Much like red beans, we're going to take a pound of white beans, i.e. navy beans, and put them into a suitable size container and cover with water and let that stand overnight for about 24 hours. Now here I have an old Cajun cooking from By LaFouche cookbook, and I just wanted to quickly show in there it's got the traditional white beans recipe, and I'll zoom in here and you can pause the video if you want to take a second, look over that and read it, but this is the traditional old-fashioned way to do white beans that you would serve up on Friday with your catfish. Now the traditional white beans, they only call for onions, but in mine I like to do the Trinity, which is going to be equal parts of your bell pepper, onion, and celery. So what I got here is about 5 or so stalks of celery and my trusty 7-cup container that helps me make sure I get my ratios about right. So first I'll dice up my celery and get that in my container until it's about 1/3 full. And here you can see it's about 1/3 full in the container. So now I'll move on to my onion. And it typically takes anywhere from 2 onions to 1.5 onions. Just depends, of course, on how large your onions are. Now here my bell peppers are kind of on the small side, so I'm going to use every little bit of that bell pepper. Now what I typically do is I'll try to cut up my Trinity the night before, and I'll set it in the fridge. That way I have it ready to go when I start to assemble the beans the next day. So now here we are the next day. Get the Instapot prepped and ready. We're going to start by sauteing our Trinity. For that we put in a couple of tablespoons of oil. You can use the cap to measure it out. We set our Instapot to saute on the Moore setting for the 30 minutes. Once the oil comes up to temperature, I always toss in just a couple little bits to check. When I see it sizzle, I know it's ready, and I add the rest of the Trinity. Now go ahead and add a couple pinches with 3 fingers of salt. Get it stirred well and let it saute down for the 30 minutes. Occasionally stirring it every now and then to make sure it doesn't stick to the bottom. And when the Instapot turns off after the 30 minutes, we'll move on to adding our seasoning. Here I've got cayenne, garlic powder, bay leaves, and I like to add a little paprika. First, a couple bay leaves. If your bay leaves are on the small side, you might want to add 3. And then it's usually equal portions: cayenne pepper, garlic powder, and paprika. anywhere from a teaspoon to two teaspoons. Now what I have here are smoked ham hocks, about 8 ounces worth. Dice that into cubes and toss it in the pot. Now we grab our beans that have been soaking overnight. And I will take those over to the sink and drain them. Do not rinse them, just drain them. Add them to the pot. Give everything a good stir. And now, just like with the red beans, I find the ratio that works best is about 2 cups of liquid. And again, here I like using the chicken broth. It adds a little bit more of a flavor profile than just regular water. We'll measure out 2 cups and add it to the pot. Give it a good stir, and then just like with the red beans, I like to pat it down and get everything nice and level and just below the surface of the liquid. Now we put on our lid, make sure the pressure valve is closed, and we're going to set our cook time to manual for 50 minutes. After those 50 minutes of cook time are up, I'm going to set another timer for another 50 minutes and just let it sit. It will depressurize on its own. Now during that 50 minutes, I ran to a local place we have here called Catfish Station. It's a drive-through, but they cook the catfish fresh while you wait. And as you can see, this is 7 o'clock at night, and I wasn't the only one there getting catfish. It's a really great place. They got really good food. Haven't had anything there yet we haven't liked. So here I've chopped up my green onions. I'm going to add a handful to the pot, giving them a good stir. Now, unlike the red beans, I do not mash any of the white beans. I find it's thick enough by itself without having to mash any of it. I take about a cup of rice, and I add about 2.5 scoops to that for a serving. Garnish with some of the green onions that I reserved to the side. And just like with my red beans, I like the combination of the Zatarain's hot sauce and the McKinley Tabasco sauce. Grab a couple of my catfish fillets. Believe it or not, these 2 big pieces of fish are about 5 ounces. Voila! Dinner is served. C'est bon.